Good morning and good afternoon. I am Manjeet Kripalani, the Executive Director of Gateway House, a foreign policy think tank based in Mumbai, the financial capital of India. We are so happy to partner with the Italian Embassy in India on this important discussion on energy transitions and what India and Italy can do together. The timing of this discussion is propitious as we all emerging vaccinated from the pandemic and raring to re-engage. It is appropriate that our bilateral economic re-engagement can commence with the energy sector. India is energy dependent and Italy has an innovative energy industry. Most importantly, Italy, as the president of the G20 this year, is focusing on rebuilding in the aftermath of the ongoing crisis through more efficient and renewable technologies. India, too, is doing its bit for sustainability as one of the few, if not the only, large economies in G20 meet its climate goals. There is so much to collaborate on, as this meeting will reveal. We have the opening session, which will be followed by the second section, which is a closed-door roundtable discussion on collaborating on India-Italy energy transitions. Before we proceed with the event, we must have the most important part of any conference, the group photograph. May I request you all to look into your screens and smile for 15 seconds. Thank you very much. May I now request the Ambassador of Italy to India, His Excellency Vincenzo De Luca, to deliver the opening address.
Thank you very much to the Executive Director and Co-founder of Gateway House, Manjeet Kripalani, and warm thanks to our Undersecretary of Foreign Affairs, Maglio Di Stefano, to the CEO of NITI Aayog, Amitabh Kant, to the Chief Energy Modeler of the International Energy Agency, Laura Cozzi, to my colleague and friend Ugo Astuto, Ambassador of the European Union to India. Today we are celebrating a quite innovative event in the framework of the presidency of G20 of Italy, of Italian presidency.
Excellency, you're muted.
We can't hear you.
Excellency, you're muted.
You hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry. I was saying that this event is under the presidency of G20, Italian presidency of G20, and also the co-presidency of Italy and UK of COP26. The agenda of G20 is focused on people, planet, prosperity, and all these three pillars are linked with the topics we discussed today, that is energy transition for a green economy. Energy transition will be one of the pillars of the new partnership, strategic partnership between Italy and India, adopted in the last digital summit last 6th of November by the two prime ministers. Italy and India have important experience, expertise, technology, capacity, and we want to share with the Indian authorities and Indian partners these assets that are fundamental to tackle with the challenges of climate change and to transform our industrial system into a green and sustainable industrial system. And also in the production, distribution, transmission of energy, we can invest more as Italian institution, Italian companies, Italian research center here in India, and we can also receive from India, new investment in Italy. So the idea of this webinar is to discuss in a first session with all the institutional presence and also in more in depth with the industrial players from Italy and from India, how we can work together. And a special thanks to Amitabh Kant, because Niti Aayog is fundamental in having this horizontal project with the Indian government, because when we talk about energy transition, we have to deal with several ministries here in India, with several authorities, both central and the local authorities, and we need a comprehensive view, a comprehensive strategy that is the core of the Niti Aayog work and role. So I'm so happy to have you here and so happy to have our Undersecretary of Foreign Affairs, Maglio Di Stefano, to whom I will leave the floor for the preliminary opening remarks. Thank you, Maglio. Secretary, the floor is yours.
Thank you there, Ambassador. Good afternoon to our Italian friends and a special thanks to... Scusate, sento sotto delle voci italiane. Okay. Again, thank you all. A special thanks to the Italian Ambassador Enzo De Luca for the kind invitation to open this meeting on energy transition. Well, this topic is a very complex matter, and maybe we have not yet understood its deep implications and its far-reaching consequences. First of all, it goes to the heart of our socio-economic system. It relates to a global challenge that we must face by joining hands, leveraging on multilateralism and on our enhanced bilateral partnership. This is why we need an ambitious and brave approach, taking onto board different national circumstances and differentiated pathways, but having a common final goal well in mind. The fact is that we know much more now than we knew a few years ago, and the latest science tells us things that put us all in front of a challenge that is even direr than it was when we all subscribed to the Rio conference in 1919 and to Paris agreements back in 2015. Without ambitious emissions reduction policies, the average global temperature is projected to increase between 1.5 and up to 6 degrees over the course of this century, hampering the future of next generations. Limiting warming to 1.5 centigrades implies reaching climate neutral economies by mid-century. India's remarkable plan to deploy 450 gigawatts of renewable energies already by 2030 is an impressive step into this direction. It is the sort of leadership that we all need. India's resolve will certainly contribute to a successful G20 on energy and climate ministerial meeting that Italy hosts in Naples on 23rd July. We look forward to participation of the relevant ministers from the government of India. On a bilateral level, last November, our prime ministers agreed on a bilateral action plan 2020-2024, which includes in the areas of cooperation, green economy, clean technologies, and renewables. The forthcoming meeting of the Joint Commission for Economic Cooperation on 8th July will allow us to explore ways to further strengthen our partnership in this field. The clean energy transition is, of course, at the heart of the COP26 too. We are hosting the fundamental preparatory meeting in Milan from 30 September to 2nd October, preceded by the Youth for Climate Driving the Ambition, a back-to-back arrangement that makes us all feel the full responsibility of delivering something really concrete, which our people, starting from the young generation, are voting for. Besides, we really appreciate the forward-looking vision of the New Delhi in multilateral fora. India hosts the first international organization focused on solar energy deployment, the International Solar Alliance. Italy is proud to be among the very first countries that have joined the organization since its membership has become potentially universal. The energy transition is not simply a process. It has to be an entirely new ecosystem in which we continuously discover additional elements to broaden our common and joint action. To build this energy ecosystem, we need to focus on three areas: opportunities offered by sustainable recovery measures, sustainable technologies, alignment of financial flows. There are some ample margins to build and reinforce our bilateral collaboration. The speakers that will follow me will elaborate much more on some of these aspects. First, recovery measures offers us a once-in-a-generation opportunity to build back better, actually to build forward better. We must ensure a proper coherence between short-term measures and longer-term climate and environmental objectives of the clean energy transition. A green and inclusive recovery has the potential to create opportunities for income, growth, and quality jobs, both at national and global level. Such recovery will also significantly enhance the resilience of economies and societies in the face of accelerating environmental challenges. The decision made in the coming years of infrastructure, equipment, and systems in which we invest will affect the climate for decades to come. The choices governments are making in shaping their recovery packages will determine the country's capacity to be sustainable and comply with the Paris Agreement. Recovery plans made for the immediate term need to be aligned with objectives set at the international and domestic levels for the near term, that is 2030, and long term, that is 2050 and beyond. In Italy, we have just adopted a national recovery and resilience plan whereby 70 billion euros are allocated to the green revolution and ecological transition. And we have dedicated a specific ministry, the Ministry of Ecological Transition, to the task of monitoring this overreaching theme of our modern world. Second, sustainable oriented innovation. Three pillars underpin the transition to a climate neutral energy system, namely sustainable input, flexibility, and decentralization. Sustainability calls for processes that do not deplete natural resources in a significant amount, and renewable energy sources can fit this paradigm. A sustainable energy system is characterized by an efficient exploitation of all energy sources, fosters energy efficiency in the first instance, adopts clean technology and infrastructures for production, storage, distribution, integration, and use of different energy carriers. Excess electricity from renewables converted into fuel will drive the decarbonization of hard-to-abate industrial processes, and converted to heat and stored will enable further circularity and resource efficiency. The energy system balance must be maintained at all times and therefore requires flexibility measures with different intensities and acting along different time spans. The increasing availability of cost-effective renewable energy technologies is accelerating a paradigm shift of the energy system from centralized energy generation to decentralized generation, relying on small-scale generation capacities not connected to the high voltage or gas grid, usually small-scale plants that supply electricity to a building, industrial site, or community, potentially selling back surplus electricity. Energy communities, as a cooperative bottom-up model to produce and consume energy, are therefore expected to play an important role in the transition. And our enterprises have the capabilities to develop such production models. Third and final point, alignment of financial flows and macroeconomics cross-cutting measures. Governments need to chart the macroeconomic, fiscal, real economy and labor market transformations required to support and accelerate the transition. Alignment requires economy and society-wide structural changes, including how labor markets are retooled, how macroeconomic, fiscal, and procurement policies are developed, and how innovation is incentivized and invested. Labor policy should reflect the need of the green transition and grasp its opportunities. Equality, economic growth, and social considerations require that job losses be estimated and that mechanism be established to support displaced workers. National and international development banks can strengthen their contribution, while we should strive for climate risk and disclosures and ensure that all investments consider future physical climate risks and proactively adapt their infrastructure, systems, and communities. In the end, we should continue to reflect, on the one hand, on the distorting effects of fossil fuel subsidies, and on the other hand, on the possible benefits of the international carbon price mechanism. I'm certain that today's discussion will reflect and strengthen the strategic nature of the partnership between our countries and the desire to further develop our economic, social, and political ties on the basis of equity and mutual benefit. Our enterprises are ready to play a big role in this new scenario of green transition, and we are ready to invest much more in the strategic relations with India. I thank you for your attention, and I wish you good work.
Manjit, you're muted.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Under Secretary. We invite Mr. Amitabh Kant now, the CEO of Niti Aayog, which has spearheaded multiple clean and renewable energy-related initiatives, ranging from renewable energy, electric vehicles, and biofuels, to deliver his remarks. Mr. Kant?
Yeah. His Excellency Vincenzo de Luisa, the Italian ambassador to India, His Excellency Manlio Di Stefano, Under Secretary of State, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Italy, His Excellency Ugo Astuto, EU Ambassador to India, Laura Cozzi, the Chief Energy Modeler of IEA, Mr. Amit Bhandari, and of course, Manjit Kripalani, the Executive Director and Co-Founder of Gateway House. I would like to welcome all of you present today and compliments to the Gateway House and Embassy of Italy for organizing this roundtable. There could not be a better time to hold this discussion and strengthen the partnership between India and Italy to achieve a cleaner energy future. Solidarity, sustainability, and innovation are the three pillars of the India-Italy partnership. India-Italy joint statement and plan of action for 2024, as agreed during November 2020, provides a detailed framework of cooperation between India and Italy, wherein the two prime ministers appreciated the deep civilization ties between the two countries and welcomed the high degree of convergence in the political, economic, and strategic interests of the two countries that provides an enduring basis for a long-term partnership. Economic and commercial ties between India and Italy have been an important facet of overall relations. With consecutive G20 presidencies that Italy and India will hold in 2021 and 2022 respectively, it will offer a significant opportunity to provide continuity in the fight against the pandemic and addressing all other major issues of global governance. Considering the global challenge of climate change, both India and Italy have ambitious clean energy goals and are committed to a sustainable future. The energy transition towards clean sources and low emission energy systems is a priority for both the countries. For Italy, solar energy is already the second source for the production of electricity from renewable sources, preceded only by hydroelectricity in Italy. And Italy has the second largest installed solar capacity in EU. With respect to the Indian energy market, India is presently the third largest energy consumer, and it has the world's fourth largest renewable energy installed capacity in the world. It will be the major driver of global energy demand, with its energy consumption expected to double in the next decade. I want to convey here that India has the unique opportunity of meeting this gigantic rise in energy demand sustainability through cleaner fuels. Now, is the right time to invest in India, from manufacturing to the last mile delivery. In the last 5 to 6 years, we have become the most favored destination for energy investments. India has received more than $7 billion of FDI equity inflows in India's renewable energy sector since 2014. We have ambitious target, whether it is the world's largest RE expansion with 450 gigawatt of renewable installed capacity by 2030, or 20% ethanol blending by 2025, or the green hydrogen mission. And we are steadily bringing various reforms in the energy sector and making them investor friendly. India has a very liberal FDI policy in energy sector, including renewables. Up to 100% FDI is allowed under the automatic route for renewable energy generation and distribution product. Italian investors can firm up views to invest on their own or through forming joint ventures with an Indian partner for financial or technical collaboration for setting up of clean energy related projects. An Italian gas group has taken its first step into India by signing a series of deals involving hydrogen and low carbon mobility projects. Talking about our priorities, India, with its huge market and relevant manufacturing advantages, can be the manufacturing destination for breakthrough technologies. Italian players can tap this opportunity to invest in state-of-the-art manufacturing lines and add value to the entire supply chain. As an example, India is aiming to be a global hub for cutting-edge solar PV manufacturing. PLI, a production-linked incentive scheme for high-energy solar cells and module, has already been announced. I urge Italian players to leverage their technical expertise and play a key role in it. We are looking at innovating every part of the value chain and strategic collaborations with global innovators to take a generation leapfrog in solar PV manufacturing. Subsequently, efforts are also underway to make India a global hub for manufacturing advanced chemistry cell batteries and electric vehicles. Government has also approved the production-linked incentive scheme for advanced chemistry cell manufacturing. Another area where Italy can extensively contribute is scaling green hydrogen. Already solar tariff has fallen to rupees 199 per kilowatt hour, which is approximately 2.7 cents per kilowatt hour. And the continued trend of falling prices of renewable energy will lead India to become a leader in green hydrogen space. We are in the process of finalizing the National Hydrogen Energy Mission. We also aim to promote electrolyzer manufacturing capacity in India and become a global hub of the world. India is equally focusing on seamless and flexible integration of renewables with the grid. While many argued that energy storage will be too expensive for India, but India has pioneered the world's cheapest RE, renewable energy plus storage tenders. The Ministry of New and Renewable Energy recently conducted a round-the-clock auction for 400 megawatt of projects where the levelized tariff emerged at roughly 3 rupees 60 paisa per unit, which would be about close to 3.5 cents. It clearly signals the growth opportunity for India in green hydrogen space. In addition, clean technology research and development, setting up biorefineries and alternative fuels such as biofuels, methanol, and CBG would also play a transformative role in decarbonizing India's economy. We have embarked on a major biofuel program in the country, which is a huge investment opportunity. India also aspires to increase gas share in the energy basket to 15% from the current level of 6.5%. An estimated investment of $60 billion is lined up in developing gas infrastructure, which includes pipelines, city gas distribution, and LNG regasification terminals. The world is looking for a trusted and reliable partner. India is expertise in deploying high-tech solutions in a cost-effective manner, combined with Italian expertise in low-carbon technologies, can further solidify India-Italy collaboration. I'm sure we'll successfully work together towards achieving the decarbonization and energy transition agenda for both the countries and the world. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Kant, for your very insightful comments. I next invite Ambassador Ugo Astuto, the EU Ambassador to India, to deliver his remarks. Ambassador.
Thank you very much, Madam Ambassador, Under Secretary, Chief Executive Officer. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure for me to participate in this event. India has a key role to play when it comes to the success of COP26 and COP15. And Italy has indeed a special role this year. It is a defining year, having the presidency of the G20 and being co-host of COP26. So we have to take bold decisions at COP15 and COP26 in order to have a green, sustainable, and digital future. The international community needs to come together to achieve this goal. And from the EU side, the recovery package, Next Generation EU, is our growth strategy. We want to recover from the pandemic, and we also want to overcome the challenge of climate change and environmental degradation. We need to work for a more modern and resource-efficient economy. And the European Green Deal, together with the digital transformation agenda, are at the very core of this recovery strategy. We want to move towards a climate-neutral European continent by 2050. And we want to move towards a clean, circular economy, restoring biodiversity and cutting pollution. And to be able to achieve this objective of a climate-neutral Europe by 2050, we have already increased our 2030 target for emissions reduction. We want to reduce our emissions by at least 55% compared to the 1990 baseline by 2030. Now, these objectives are laid down in the new EU climate law. It has been formally adopted by both European Parliament and Council. And this law gives EU citizens and business the legal certainty, the predictability that they need when it comes to the way ahead. So let me underscore here, it's not just a generic aspiration, it's now a legal prescription embodied in law. This transition towards a greener economy clearly requires a massive investment. But the cost of getting clean solutions has come down tremendously. For instance, when you look at solar in India. And the solutions are often at the same time innovative, but also labor intensive. They create jobs. So the clean energy transition, which will improve the air quality and lower import dependency, is also a growth strategy. Let's take for instance, public transport. Well, better public transport brings down chronic traffic congestions and pollutions. And it also makes us less dependent on fossil fuel. I think that by now it's clear enough that the cost of action is much smaller, is much lower than the cost of inaction. And the transition is on its way worldwide. Fossil fuels will be phased out across the world. And countries that are still planning huge energy investments and with a long life cycle should beware of the risk of ending up with expensive assets stranded. Not all people will immediately benefit from the transition. So we need to ensure, for instance, that workers in carbon-intensive sectors are retrained and that the poor do not suffer from climate action. And in this respect, I think the sharing of experiences will be vital. We need to make sure that no one is left behind. And public regulation and public funds must set the right incentives also for private capital to be oriented towards clean energy solutions. The private sector will be crucial. As the scale of the challenge is global, international actors are searching for attractive investment opportunities. And also additional domestic capital markets need to be mobilized. The European Union and India have been cooperating extensively on matters of energy efficiency. Under the EU-India Clean Energy and Climate Partnership, we are working closely together in areas such as energy efficiency, renewable energy, smart grids, power market design, climate mitigation, and adaptation. And the European Union is also happy to support the two international flagship initiatives launched by India, the International Solar Alliance and the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, which contribute to climate mitigation and adaptation. So let me conclude here by thanking the Italian ambassador and Gateway House for organizing today's meetings. It's important to showcase the importance. It's important to showcase the need for close cooperation on this required energy transition. Also, the contribution to a successful COP26. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Thank you, gentlemen, for sharing your perspectives. I now invite Ms. Laura Cozzi, the Chief Energy Modeler with the International Energy Agency, for her perspective. Laura.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kripalani, and thank you very much to Ambassador De Luca and the Italian Embassy for having initiated this this conference, Gateway House, and Ambassador Astuto, and of course His Excellency Mr. Kant for being here and having invited the International Energy Agency to be here with you today. Since the executive director of our IEA, Dr. Birol, took the helm of the organization in 2015, the links with and the ties with India have only grown from strength to strength. So this year we were very pleased to sign a framework for strategic partnership, and certainly the direction of travel for our executive director of our cooperation with India is only one, and strengthening even more our cooperation. You will ask why? The answer is very simple. India is at the center and is at the center stage of energy markets today, and it will be even more so in the future. If you look at what happened in India over the past few years under President Modi leadership, we have seen already record-breaking and incredible achievements that no other country was ever able to do before. Let me mention just two. First, India managed in the span of 7 years to electrify all villages. If you look at the rate at which this happened, no other country electrified its population so quickly. This is the founding stone of having a thriving digital and electric society going forward. Second, incredible achievements on the LED fronts with very, very cheap light bulbs that are now basically in every single house in India, thanks to procurement for governments and innovation that happened in the country. Now, going forward, what we are expecting is that India will actually grow very, very fast. We have heard this already before. Let me give you just one example. Electricity demand will actually grow as much as the entire EU market today. So in the span of the next 20 years, actually India will add, in terms of electricity infrastructure, what Europe added over the past 100 years. This is an incredible, incredible challenge ahead for all of us. Clearly, renewable technology, solar, the ambition is there to move very, very fast. The grid will have to follow. Flexibility needs will have to follow. So the opportunity space for investment, for innovation on grids, on batteries, on anything that is related to flexibility in the electricity sector is huge, but it poses challenges as well in terms of investment and attracting the investment. Clearly, the transition that we are hearing about is all about, now we hear more and more, the race to net zero. Now, something has to be very clear. The race to net zero emissions is not a race among countries, is a race against time. And this will be won by anyone until everyone has actually reached net zero. So we really need to work collaboratively to ensure that everyone reaches net zero. And it's not only about the electricity sector, it's about buildings, it's about transport, it's about industry. So innovation in terms of cleaner fuels, we have heard Mr. Kant mentioning biofuels, hydrogen is going to be crucially important. Let me come to the last point here. There are two critical issues here, financing and technology. In our latest analysis, financing needs in emerging and developing countries, including in India, if we want to follow a sustainable path, would need to triple over the next decade. And most of this will need to go to technologies like renewables, grids, starting investing in hydrogen, batteries. Is this investment flowing? Not really. So when we talk about sustainable recoveries is something that we are tapping very much in advanced economies. Why? Because the cost of capital now is very cheap for us. But this is not true everywhere. So we need to ensure that cheap capital, which will really enable this new greener technology to be widespread, including in India, needs to go down. So this has to be central. Clearly, we know this G20 in Italy is doing a great job there. We look forward to the meeting in Naples to discuss this crucial issue. So I think this meeting today is going to tackle this aspect. And the second, which is equally important, private sector. Private sector, we know that without the private sector, we will not be able to materialize the huge increase in investment and the innovation in technology that is going to be needed to finance and make this transition all together. So really partnership between Italy and India, very key, and huge hope for this G20 alongside COP to resolve the financing and technology issue, which are really central to ensure a global race to net zero. Thank you very much.
Laura, thank you so much. That is exactly what we hope to achieve with this meeting.